My name is Ryan Skinner, and I am currently reading everything that comes out every week. There's a couple hundred comic books that come out every week. I don't read them all. I read like 4 or 5. So it's a lot of issue ones whenever they come out, and then like graphic novels or series, like once they've kind of finished, like mini series, like something between 4, 5, 10 issues that I can actually sit down and read in one sitting. A good comic book store has comic books, and let me explain what that means. I think that a lot of stores felt pressure to, instead of being comic book stores, just be like nerd stores. And you know, that's cool. I like nerds. I like all kinds of nerdy things. Toys are great. I certainly have some. If you walk around the store, you'll see my collection. But I think you should sell what you know. And it bums me out when I walk into a comic book store and the comic books are like this much. And it's just like Funko Pops and just... I mean, the Funko Pops are kind of like just the symbol for me for just like everything that like comic stores have kind of like gotten away from, which is almost like being embarrassed of the art form in my opinion. It's not always just about like chasing around like what other people want to buy. Sometimes it's like, no, I'm a comic book store. I love comic books. I think comic books are incredible. Will you join me on this journey? I will try to show you why I think they're amazing. I'm going to show you why this artist is incredible, why this writer has been working so long, why you can go in these bins right here, and even though they're like, oh, they're the dollar bins. No, go in there and you're going to you can find something, go home and just study it and luxuriate in it. And that should be like enough. So I have a chip on my shoulder, as you can tell, on both shoulders about this. I tried to like carry toy stuff, and it just wasn't me. I sell comic books. So when I walk into a comic store, that's my first question is, do you have comic books? Do you sell comic books? Do I look around? Do the people that work here read comic books? Do they know about comic books? Do they at least like them, hopefully? And then the next part connected to that is community. I hate gatekeeping, right? Everybody does. That's a trigger. That's a buzzword, right? I'm a gate usherer to a fault. Like, I get mad when people walk past the gate. I'm like, the gate's right here. I got it open. It's warm in there. There's beer in there. Okay, like, come. It's just right here. Come in the gate. But I hate gatekeeping, right? It's the stupidest thing. It's already a very niche industry. So the idea of gatekeeping is so dumb. The whole thing will die if you don't generate new people that are interested in these things. And community is a part of that. But somebody coming in and feeling welcome, feeling like somebody's listening to them, feeling like somebody's going to answer their questions and give them recommendations, not feel like, is this the right thing to read? Like, the right thing is for you to find the thing that you want. I'm here to try to find the thing that will make you happy, that's going to keep you in this hobby. Decision to do so many deep discounts at the store was not mine. That I'm carrying that torch. The former owner, his name is Mike Lerner. He started that a long time ago. I'll never forget the first time I went to a convention and I worked for him, and it was Kick-Ass. It had just come out in a graphic novel, and that was going to be the big book that weekend. So that's like a $25 book. We were selling it for $15. And this other vendor walked by and saw that we were doing that, like they were getting set up, and they had also planned to sell that book all weekend, but they were going to sell it for $25, and they're going to be right down the thing from us selling it for $15. And he got very mad and called us all kinds of names, and it was just like, I don't know what kind of cheap nonsense you guys are playing, and blah, blah, blah. When you sell something at a lower discount, it's just your profit margin's a lot smaller, right? Because like you pay for the product, and then you make a little bit of money, right? But the thing is the more you do that, so you're betting on volume. Rather than just selling one book, you're hoping to sell 5. And if you're selling 5 and now 10 and now 15, you're grinding down your cost on that book. So that discount, but your cost is getting smaller, so your profit margin's getting bigger. I think the comic books are, they've gotten expensive. They used to be so darn cheap. You used to be able to walk into somewhere with like $10 and then go home with so many things, which I still try to combat that with having tons of dollar bin books. Like, you can walk in here with $5 and you can still go home with, like 100 pages worth of stuff to check out. And I just continue to do that because I was a poor college student, and I bought lots of used books and just did everything I could and got it where I could get it. And Pulp Fiction was so nice to have a place like that. We didn't just go to Barnes & Noble and just pay cover price for everything. Just like, man, I really want to read this Hulk story, even though kind of like not even really into superhero books. Maybe I want to try them, but maybe I want to read this Hulk book, but it costs $30. So it'd be nice to like go to Pulp Fiction and be like, oh, it's half off. Somebody traded this in. Okay, for $15, I'll do it. When I got into comic books, I was more interested in the independent stuff or the creator-owned things. And like, we're finally starting to get that. Now we're starting to get shows and movies and stuff like that. And you go, based on the comic book. And people go, oh, really? That was a comic book? And you're like, yeah. I mean, Walking Dead was probably like the biggest. But like at the time, it was so hot. And people go, whoa, it's based on a comic book? Yes. There are comic books about all kinds of things that have nothing to do with superheroes. And this particular zombie one is really good. And they made a zombie show. But also, there's another thing that's going on is there's those people that don't want anything to do with the superhero books. Or they don't know where to start. Or like, it can be hard. Whereas the creator-owned book is kind of more like the Japanese manga market, where it's like there's a volume 1 and you start right here, and eventually usually they have an end if they didn't get canceled. The customer that comes in and asks for says, I'm interested in comic books but I don't know where to start, is not theoretical. They're very real. I deal with them every week. That's my favorite. That means that there's still life in this industry and that people are interested, and it's up to us to be careful and not be comic book guy from The Simpsons with it, Actually, the first thing that I do is I ask them what they like. I'm not going to just throw something at them. I want to know what they're interested in. What are you in the mood for? What's the last movie you watched that you really like? What TV show are you really into right now? Or if they're coming in and they're very specifically, they'll usually say, I want to get into Marvel. I want to get into DC Comics or to Batman. And if they have a specific character, great. Then we'll try to find some storylines that are a little bit more self-contained. Or hopefully if they walk in and they say, oh, Moon Knight's really cool. I'm like, you're in luck. A Moon Knight series just started. Perfect starting point. Why don't you see how you feel about monthly comic books? Here's Moon Knight number 1. But if they come in, they go, yeah, I still really have no idea. That's my job. I got to tease that out and figure out what is maximum impact. And then sometimes it's really frustrating because there's like, they really have no idea, in which case I have like back pocket, like 5 books or whatever that I would really just like, oh, okay, well, here you go. Just take that and read it and, get back to me in the morning.
What are those 5 books?
Well, the top one's Saga, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Saga has been the number 1 creator-owned book for a long time, since it started. And I would argue that a big part of why it's so successful is that it appeals to men and women, or everyone. Whereas like comic books have been in this horrible boys club since the late 80s. And Saga, when all else fails, you just throw Saga at people and just see how they feel about it. So that's that. If they say like a horror book, I'll do Something Is Killing the Children. If they want a science fiction book, I'll probably do Descender or East of West. It kind of just depends. It's like once there's a genre, then I can start like kind of playing with it. But Saga is usually the number 1. Like, I don't know. Just read this. This is a good indicator of like what comic books are now if you haven't checked in with them in a very long time. So try that out and see if you like it. I would say at first blush, graphic novels are a great way to wade into it. You're gonna get a chunk of story. Comic book, it's tough, man. You gotta try to get people hooked on 22 pages. It's a hell of a lot easier to get somebody hooked in 100 pages. So trade paperbacks are great. I think they're a great place to start. But it's fun to collect comic books. It gets you in here every week, which is part of the fun. And that's where the community part again. Because if you just read graphic novels, you just buy them on Amazon, wait for them to show up at their house. You read them, you put them down whenever you want. The nice thing about monthly comic books is that's really more if you want to get more involved in the community. Like you want to come here every week. You want to be like, oh, what's on the shelf? Like, oh, did you read this yet? Like, hey, Wendy, like, do you know anything about this yet? And like talk to each other about things. So last year, when I was trying to think of like just events to do and stuff, I'm going to plug something else. It's called Ink and Drink. It's great. It's an artist community that meets once a month at a bar down the street called Supply and Demand. Follow Ink and Drink on Instagram to find out when the next one is. And I've been doing that now for a few years, and I've made friends with that kind of artist community. And so it's kind of like, what can we do to kind of bring conventions here? So like, let's get a group of artists together that are excited about drawing something. The first thing that we did was we had a customer that was writing a Transformers comic. And I know that a lot of these friends and artist friends love drawing Optimus Prime and Soundwave and all these guys, Starscream and whatnot. So I said, what do you get? Let's just try this. Let's do a Transformers Day. We'll just call it Transformers Day. And it was great. It was a hit. Way more people showed up than I expected. And so, okay, let's do it again. And so I stepped up, and the next thing we did was Godzilla Day. And we had a customer that had written a Godzilla comic. And all of our friends and everything, they all loved to draw Godzilla stuff. So we did it again, and that was huge. It was big. We had a great turnout. So I said, hopefully if people keep showing up for these things, we'll just do it every year. And so we have another customer that has another Godzilla comic book that they're writing. And we went, all right, this is Godzilla Day 2. Godzilla Day raids again. I love the idea of legacy. With comic books, you love that, right? Like the longer something has been going, you're like, cool. So I love the idea that hopefully, years from now, we're like, it's Godzilla Day 6. And this time we have a whole new round of artists and writers. And that's what it is. All these tables that are right behind you, on the day, we're going to have chairs set up. All this stuff's going to be cleared off. And we're going to have 8 writers and artists here that all either have worked on Godzilla books or have like kaiju comics that they've made or like things like that. And people will show up that day, and I'll have extra Godzilla books to sell. And then these guys will have their drawings and prints and stickers and books to promote and all that kind of stuff. And it's just a fun, it's like a little mini convention that we do here in the store.
What day is that?
That's May 27th. That's May 27th. It's the last Saturday in May.
Where can we find you in person and online?
Instagram is probably the number one. So we're Pulp Fiction Long Beach on Instagram. We're Pulp Fiction Long Beach on Facebook. Don't be afraid of the comic book store. You'll be welcome with open arms. I defy you to tell me there's nothing to read. BS. Nonsense. There's something for everybody to read. There's something for everyone. So get in here and we'll figure out what it is.